Hey, NLC family, my name is Broc. Today we're going to be jumping into Romans 12. And right at the very end of this chapter, there's this phrase that Paul writes that I love. It says this: do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. And this is one of my favorite chapters in the whole Bible, actually. It's one of the first verses I ever memorized, was the start of Romans 12. Back before I was even a Christian, I was memorizing this chapter of Scripture. And right at the very end, that phrase, do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. I don't know why it makes me think of working out, but it kind of does. This concept of, you're doing something that is unnatural. You're doing something that, I don't know about you, my body never just naturally wants to work out when I wake up in the morning, but the more that I do it, the more that it trains me to be able to do it again and again and more and more. And I think this concept is a lot the same. Like the more that when we have this temptation to do what is evil, push past that and overcome the evil with an abundance of doing what is good, the more that evil flees from us. I mean, it says that other places in the Bible. It says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. And right before this, the whole first few verses before Paul wrote this, he wrote just a bunch of different ways that we can do this. How do we live out overcoming evil and using good? And he has a bunch of different phrases like outdo one another in showing honor. I know in my relationship with my wife, one of the things that we used to joke about, but now that we do pretty consistently, is this: we outdo one another in showing honor. And it seems so unnatural. For the first year or two, this wasn't something that came naturally to me. This was something that I would force myself to do. Whenever I was upset or whenever I was frustrated, I would force myself to honor or to serve because I knew that would force out the evil that was in, and it would be overcome by good. Another thing that he writes is, rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. I mean, I think about the happiest day and probably the hardest day of my life, how evil couldn't touch those days, and those days were overcome by good. On my wedding day, I had people rejoicing with me that I was getting married, and evil couldn't touch that day. It's one of the happiest days of my life. It was overcome by good. But on the opposite end of that, one of the hardest days of my life was when my dad passed away, and it easily could have tore me up, made me lose my faith. It easily could have been evil for me. It could have been bad for me. But instead, there were people right alongside me who were mourning with me. As this verse puts it, mourning with those who mourn. They were living this out of overcoming evil by doing good. And now I can look back and see how God used both of those moments. He continues on and gives us the example of, if your enemy is hungry, feed them. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. This is one of the hardest things that I can think of because, man, when people are against me, my first thought isn't, how can I serve you? How can I help you? My first thought is to just distance myself from them, but that's not what overcoming evil with good looks like. Overcoming evil with good is setting aside ourselves and intentionally going after what is good until it completely drowns out the evil. It's doing what isn't natural until it becomes natural, just like working out with me. I'm going to keep going until what I normally don't want to do becomes something that my body craves. And in the same way, what if we do this in a way that not it starts off as natural for us, but the more that we do it, the more that we put aside what is evil and seek after what is good, it becomes something that wasn't natural, but now it's part of who we are.